Hello everyone, we are group 7 from Introduction to General Linguistic Class A, and we would like to do a presentation about syntax, the sentence patterns of language. My name is Rayhan Yafi with the last student number 048, and I'm gonna uh, explain the first material, and it is types of syntactic structures. So, sentences are built on the basis of rules of combination. The units being combined are called constituents. In a sentence, there are at least two main constituents. One is called a subject and the other one is called a predicate. The subject is the topic of the sentence, while the predicate is the comment made by the topic. There are two another elements in a sentence. They are arguments and adjuncts. Arguments are necessary elements of a sentence used to complete the meaning of the predicate. And for adjuncts, they are optional elements of a sentence. They add information that is not essential to the meaning of the predicate. So for example, the student looked at a painting. If we analyze this sentence, the student is the subject of the sentence and looked at a painting is the predicate of the sentence. The expression the student and at a painting are called arguments because they complete the meaning of the predicate looked, the student looked, or looked at a painting. And if we want to make it become more specific, we can add more elements to the sentence. So it's going to be like the art student looked at a very beautiful painting. The elements art, very, and beautiful are called adjuncts, which add information that is not essential to the meaning of the predicate.
Okay, my name is Resti Putri with the last number 043, and I will continue for the next material, type of sentences. There are 4 types of sentences. The first one is simple sentence. A simple sentence is a sentence with one subject and one predicate. Example, the dog ran away. Next, compound sentence. Compound sentence is made up of at least 2 simple sentences joined by a coordinating conjunction. For example, the dog and the cat ran away. The 2 simple sentences in compound sentence are called independent clause. A second type of clause used to construct sentences is dependent clause. Next, complex sentence. A sentence that contains a simple sentence and one or more dependent clauses is called complex sentence. For example, although Tom reads novel, Jack reads comic. And the last, compound complex sentence. Sentences that have 2 or more independent clauses and at least one dependent clause are called compound complex sentence. For example, while Tom reads novel, Jack reads comic, but Sam reads only magazine. Next, type of sentences based on purpose. First, declarative. Declarative are sentences that make a statement. Example, Christine just arrived. Next, interrogative. These sentences ask a question. Example, has Andre just arrived? Next, imperative. These sentences are express a comment or make a request. Example, Aaron, come here. Next, exclamatory. These sentences show strong or sudden feeling. Example, oh, if John were only here. And for the last, active or passive voice. A voice is the relationship of the grammatical subject of a verb to the action conveyed by that verb. Example, Reporters write news report. News report are written by reporter. Okay, for the next material will be continued by my friend.
Okay, my name is Alvira with the last student number 009, and now we're going to talk about phrases. A phrase is any constituent of a clause. Phrases are commonly named for one of their main elements. So we speak of noun phrases, verb phrases, adjective phrases, adverb phrases, and propositional phrases. A phrase may be a string of words or just one word. For example, in this sentence, there are several phrases. Jack went to the store. Jack is a phrase, and so are went to the store, and the store. It is that not only can a phrase be one word or a string of words, but that one phrase also can be embedded within another phrase. The head of a phrase is the word that determines the syntactic or phrasal category of that phrase, whether the phrase functions as a noun phrase, verb phrase, propositional phrase, and so on. All parts of a phrase that are not the head are called the phrase's dependents. In some approaches to syntax, these dependents are further broken down into specifiers and complements. For example, in the sentence "in the boat," the is the specifier. And the next example is the title of the new movie. The is the specifier, and of the new movie is the complement. The specifier makes the meaning of the head more precise. The next one is noun phrases. Among other functions, a noun phrase, often called a nominal phrase, can function in a sentence as a subject, direct object, and indirect object. For example, in the sentence, Julian mailed a letter. Julian is a noun phrase and the subject of the sentence. A letter is also a noun phrase and the direct object. The next example is the girl went into the store. The girl and the house are noun phrases. The house is an indirect object. Noun phrases can be abbreviated as NP. A noun might be preceded by an adjective or adjective phrase. The adjective phrase might include an adverb or subtype of adjective called determiner. In English, determiners are divided into some categories: definite and indefinite articles, demonstratives, possessives, and interrogatives. Determiners function to limit what the noun is referring to, such as to specify whether the referent is a specific thing or a general thing. The next one is verb phrases. A verb phrase tells you something about the subject. It includes a verb and can include an auxiliary verb, direct or indirect object, and modifiers. All English sentences contain a noun phrase and a verb phrase. An English sentence is minimally as follows. Sentence is equals to a noun phrase plus a verb phrase. Intransitive verbs can form a verb phrase by themselves. For example, fish swim. Swim is a verb phrase composed of just a verb. Verb phrases often include a noun phrase. Verbs that combine with a noun phrase are called transitive verbs. In the sentence, Mary ate the hamburger. Ate the hamburger is the verb phrase. The hamburger is the noun phrase within the verb phrase.
And for the next phrases, I will continue to explain. But first, my name is Farah Fariza with class student number 019. So here we have the next phrases named prepositional phrases. These phrases headed by a preposition and its function to modify a noun phrase or a verb phrase. For the example, the farmer from Moloa is going into the store. In these phrases, there are two prepositional phrases. First is from Loa, and the second is into the store. And last but not least, we have adverb phrase. An adverb phrase is a modifier of a verb in the following first frequency. For the example is, they came every day. Every is the modified verb. And second, duration. For example, the students have been coming for the past 5 days. Past 5 days is a modified verb. And the third is time. The example is, Tim will be here at 3 o'clock. The at in this sentence is the modified verb. And the fourth, manner. The example is, you should do it this way. This way in this sentence is the modified verb. And the last is purpose. And the example is Christopher brought his report card home to show it to his father. Show it to his father is the modified verb. And for the next material, we have the constituent structure of sentences. The first is the definition. A sentence made up of a small meaningful units, and these units combine to make a large units. And then these larger units combine into even larger one until we have the entire sentence as the largest constituent of itself. And for the next material, we'll take by my friend Fatur.
Okay, my name is Fatur Akmalia Supardi. With the last three digits of my student number is 007. The next is about labeling the constituent of a sentence. So the first one is the words. The smallest constituent of a sentence are the morpheme that make it up. Morpheme make up words. Each word can be labeled as to its part of the speech, or we can say it lexical category. And the second one is the lexicon. A lexicon for a specific language is a list of all of the morpheme that are used in that language to form word. Any co-occurrent restriction are also mentioned by labeling each root as to the subtype of the category, such as whether a verb is transitive or intransitive. A co-occurrent restriction is a limitation on the use of a morpheme. For instance, a transitive verb is limited to sentences that have a direct object, like the sentence, the boy threw. The sentence is ungrammatical because threw must co-occur with an object, as in the boy threw the ball. And then we talk about labeling phrases. Okay, so phrase can be labeled as a noun phrase, verb phrase, adjective phrase, and other. The phrase constituent structure along with label of each word can also be represented in a tree diagram. A tree diagram is an illustration in the form of an upside down tree shape that show the constituent of an adherent, with the most general at the top and more specific constituent at the bottom of the tree. A tree diagram that specifies the function of each constituent is called a phrase marker. A node is a point in a tree diagram which branching occurs. Most contemporary syntacticians see auxiliary as one of the head of a sentence. So there are three primary constituents or heads of the sentence. They are a noun phrase, a verb phrase, and an auxiliary. Auxiliary are seen as a separate mental construct, and it says something about the time frame or tense of the action or state of the subject noun phrase. For example, in this sentence, the art student will look at a very beautiful painting. The auxiliary will indicates future tense. However, tense is indicated by an inflectional bound morpheme for some past tense verb, such as in this sentence. The art student looked at some very beautiful paintings. In this case, the auxiliary is considered part of the form of the main verb, but the auxiliary is often still put in the phrase marker even though there is no separate word. The inflectional morpheme ed in the end of the word look convert the verb to the past tense. And that's our explanation for the topic syntax, the sentence pattern of language. Thanks for watching. Our last word, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.